Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to Living with Rika. I come to give you the story that I said that I was going to give y'all a while ago. But before we get into that story, go ahead and press that thumbs up button. Go ahead and press the subscribe button. And we are one subscriber away from 100. We're going to take it in increments, y'all. Yes, we're going to take it in increments because just saying we are, 800 away from 1,000 seems a very long way. So I decided to do it in 100 increments. So we're one subby away from 100. Will you be that one? Press the subscribe button. Also check to see if you're subscribed because YouTube be doing their own thing with unsubscribing people. And if you have subscribed once and you check and see that they have unsubscribed you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So we're going to get into today's video. Today's video is a video that is long coming. I've been hesitating on making this video. I know we have made a scoliosis video in regards to my daughter when she had her scoliosis appointment, her scoliosis surgery. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to record that was because there are not as many videos out about scoliosis when we were looking up a lot of videos to kind of help us get through her healing process. Thankfully, she came through with a breeze, y'all. I know we didn't come back with a total full follow-up video, but she is doing well. She is back to her daily activities. The only thing right now that she's not able to do, or the one thing that kind of that she's not able to do is like amusement parks, like hardcore stuff. But she's good. She's back to herself, and it did not take long for her to bounce back. So, I mean, the first week was... oh, she had us in and up out of that bed because the pain, and I'm sure it was pain. So she ended up getting, and I'll put the pictures up here in icon. She ended up getting 2 rods and I believe 26 screws placed in her back. And she's doing good. She's my miracle child. So the reason why we came to record this video is to tell you how she ended up having scoliosis, or how we ended up finding out that she was diagnosed with scoliosis. So this is my first time telling it in a recording setting. I've told it many of times in other settings, but this is the first recording setting that we're coming to share her story with you guys. I have offered Dynasty to come in and help me tell it, but she does not want to. But she has given me the okay to share it with you. So back in 2014, back in 2014, I can remember some things like it was yesterday, and some things have went so fast that it feels like a blur to me, okay? So just bear with me as we share this story. Back in 2014, I remember she was returning home from her dad's. She was home with him for the weekend, and she returned home, and she came home, and she was limping, and her walk was not her normal walk. Her right leg was kind of turned inwards. So that was one sign that we had that something was wrong. And then I had an awesome babysitter that kind of helped me out and watched her while I work. And we noticed together that she had become very lethargic. She was always tired, sleeping all the time, didn't do as much as a typical 4-year-old would do, like the daily energetic activities. She was just lethargic. Another sign that I had found at that time was the fact that she was becoming incontinent. And Dynasty, once she was potty trained, I didn't have any problems with her being incontinent, even in her sleep. She was a breeze training, right? So that kind of led me to seeking further medical attention because it wasn't getting any better. It was to the point where it hurt her to walk. We had to use a stroller for a 4-year-old because she was heavy toting around. So the first, I don't even know how many appointments we went to before being diagnosed, but the first appointment we went to, they did not see much wrong. They thought that maybe she sprained or injured her leg some kind of way. I don't know how they got that. Don't ask me. They ended up putting a cast on her leg. What for? We don't know. And that wasn't a problem because even without the cast, even after the cast, she still limped. And believe it or not, one of the physicians, when we took her back, had told me that they believed that she was pretending. And I was like, a 4-year-old, really pretending each and every day, 24/7? I don't believe that she's pretending. So the one thing that I've learned in this journey of fighting for her diagnosis was that, and I even do this in my own career, during those times, you have to be the best advocate for your loved one, because doctors will tell you what they want to tell you when they don't know what's wrong. That's the best way I can put it. Because at the end of the day, they're scientists. They are actually going off of some paper after they do their research with whatever your symptoms are, and then they come back with a diagnosis. So I ended up, long story short, I ended up contacting her pediatrician, and I said, look, we have went to appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment, and I'm not finding any answers for this child. She's still limping. She's still hurting. She still can barely walk, and she's very lethargic, and she's still incontinent. And that's just as plain as I can make it. And another thing, while dealing with that as a mother, I also had to deal with other people and other noises around me when it came to making decisions. And of course, I was in my middle 20s, so it was kind of hard, and I was a full-time single mother. Kind of hard. And what makes it hard, too, is when you work in the field, you kind of have an empathy, if I can put it that way, for those who work alongside the same line of work that you do. But it comes to a point where I have to, draw that line. And that sometimes is what make life so hard when it came to advocating for her. But at that point, I was like, look, we done went to doctor's appointments after doctor's appointments after doctor's appointment, and we have yet to get an answer, and I need an answer today. And I'm like, she is surely not herself. So I think that day kind of put a needle in a haystack for us. And that nurse, she felt the sympathy that I was playing for, or the cry that I was playing for, and the answers that I wanted. And she said, you know what, bring her in. We're going to draw some lab work, and we're going to go from there. Should the lab work not be okay, we're going to keep her. And going back, let me rewind. So, going back to before we even took her to a pediatrician, I took her to an ER that was close to us. And mind you, they drew blood there. And her hemoglobin levels, white blood counts, were low. That ER doctor contacted a pediatrician, and they decided to still send her home. At that time, I wasn't too educated about the hemoglobin, the white blood count level, but I am now. And so let's go back to taking her to the pediatrician. We took her in, and of course, still tired. They drew her blood, and they ended up keeping her. Her blood counts were off. And I did mention to them that we did have her go to an ER near our home. And they sent her back. They sent her back home. They said there was nothing wrong with her. I forgot what they treated her for that day. But it wasn't lining up with what she was diagnosed with. So, y'all follow me, because it may be all over the place. Sorry for that. But, so they kept her that day, admitted her, and we was in this hospital, and this hospital moved pretty fast with running tests and everything on her. So she ended up getting, I believe, a CT scan there. And the next day, now if I get emotional on here, don't y'all. But it's okay. They're tears of joy now. They're tears of joy. So I remember it like it was yesterday. One of the nurses and the doctors and everybody came in, and then you have your chaplain. Usually when at those times when they come in, it's because it's a life or death situation. And we went into one of the rooms away from her room, and they set us down and they told us that she had, at that time, leukemia. And this is why I say doctors are scientists. They don't know all the answers. They get all your symptoms. They do assessments that they were trained to do. And then they go from that and they diagnose you. So that's why it's so good to have an advocate to fight for what you need when it comes to your loved ones. So the hospital that we were at did not treat anything dealing with having to get blood because they were considered a Catholic hospital. So immediately they transferred her to one of our local hospitals, which we live in the Richmond area, so it's considered a VCU, which is a medical top number one hospital in the area. So she was transferred there. And I mean, I can't even go day to day to tell you what happened because it was just, everything was just moving so fast. So we was there at that time. She could not walk. And they ran tests, all kinds of tests, things that was moving so fast, and I was not sure what was going on. The only test that I can remember is the MRI, which kind of gives you more of a detail of what's going on inside of your body. So each day, the nurses and the doctors would come in, and they would tell us bits and pieces of what was going on. And then it got to the point where my mother was like, just give it to us all at one time. Like, you know. So the first day, it was the fact that she was diagnosed with a cancer, not leukemia. That's what they thought at first. And then they switched it to a cancer that she was diagnosed with, and it's called neuroblastoma. Now, neuroblastoma is a cancer that is mostly diagnosed between infant age to 4 years old. So she was at that 4-year-old stage. And the next day is when they came and told us what stage. But neuroblastoma, mind you, is a cancer that kind of infects your bone marrows. So time goes on. They tell us that it was at stage 4. And then time goes further, and they tell us that it had also started to eat up at her shin bone marrows, the bottom area, her skull. It had already started eating up majority of the places that were available for them to eat up at. And the tumor was located in her abdomen area. And so that all involved her having to get chemo. She got radiation. And then I had to vouch for her to get a study chemo at the time, which I think they rolled it out as no longer a study chemo, it's an actual chemo. And it's called a survivor chemo, which kind of helps you to not get it later on in the future. So she got chemo twice and radiation once. Chemo, she has spent maybe 8 months receiving chemo, and then radiation. It was a little while for radiation. I cannot remember all this, y'all, because between still working full time and then going back and forth 45 minutes to an hour to the hospital to take care of her, it was a lot. It was a lot, mind you. So I cannot remember it all by detail. But with children, if you have not experienced this, they do not receive chemo and go home. When they receive chemo, they have to stay in the hospital. And she had to, once she was fully diagnosed, we had a treatment plan because she spent about a month in the hospital, I believe, before we were actually released to go home. Once we found out what was fully wrong with her, had a plan of care and a treatment plan, and we went from there. So she did leave kind of, I believe, a month after she was diagnosed, and she had left. At that time, she left without being able to walk, and we had a home health nurse that came in home to kind of train me on how to flush her PICC line and how to change the dressing and stuff around it. And if I needed them, I could call them in. But because I was kind of skilled in that area of, in the medical area, in the medical field, I didn't need them as much. I pretty much did majority of her care all on my own. And with the help of family, she carried around a book bag because she had, when she was getting her medicine, it was easier for her to carry it with her tubes that she had in. And so after that, that's when we had to go back and forth. She would be on 1 week for chemo and off for another week. I believe that's how it was. And then further down, she would also be included with injections at home. I would have to give her those. So, long story short, and if at any time there is someone dealing with this out in the YouTube community and you have questions, I don't mind coming back on answering questions for you or doing another video, because it may be more better for me to answer if it's a specific area that you want answered. So, but right now I'm just going off the cliff with telling y'all this story. So then later on down the road, she actually was not expected to live. She wasn't. But we kept fighting, and I kept signing whatever I wanted to sign that I thought that was going to give her an extended life. She actually did, once she started chemo, she lost all of her hair. And I'll post some of those photos in the clips. And if you ask her, she'll say it's because she pulled it at that age. That's what she thought. That's how she thought she lost all of her hair, but that was not. She lost all of her hair because of the chemo. And I think that's the one reason why I'm thankful that she ended up, if she was going to be diagnosed, that it was at 4, because children are so resilient. And I believe that's how they heal faster than adults can, because they are more so resilient to life or death situations than adults are. So, but and then she had to get bone marrow transfusions, different things that she had to get, and it did force me to kind of change her eating habits a lot, because a lot of these diagnoses are in what we eat. Now, whether she's eating like that now, after being 15, it's hard for me to try to change her diet now, because her taste buds are what her taste buds is. And what else? So long story short, I believe it was when she was in the ICU, because some of the chemo treatment and things that Dynasty had, we had to be admitted to the ICUs because she had to be on close watch. And that's when we found out that the tumor kind of curved, or it could be a possible chance that the tumor caused the curvation in her spine. And at that time, we were just going to stick with the brace and the cast treatment until she was old enough to have surgery because they wanted to wait until her bones finished growing. And if it kind of corrected itself, she wouldn't have had to have surgery, but her curvaceous had not improved and it actually got worse. Even during that time. So another piece that I'm missing is when she was on chemo, she went for her first surgery. I forgot what this surgery was for, and she ended up aspirating. And she did spend time on the ventilator. And I believe she only spent a couple of days on there, but it was scary to kind of see your child being on there in the machine, helping them to breathe. And then her not being able to talk and having to be tied to the bed because she would try to pull out the trach. So yeah. And so we went through a year of that, maybe a year of that. And of course, she was delayed in schooling because of that. So she started school late, which caused other concerns and issues that we had to address. And further down the line, probably close to a year after she went through all of her treatment, and I love her surgeon. He was very good. It was a possibility that she was going to have to lose her right lung or right kidney, her right kidney, and she did not lose it. He got that tumor out, and she's still functioning with both of her kidneys. And I'm thinking right now, I don't know if she knows the total story of everything that she had to go through that her mother had to help her through, but she may not. But she know the basics. I know she said she don't remember all the poking and priming, but again, I'm thankful for that part. But after going through a year of the chemo and the radiation, I don't think I was able to make it to this appointment. I believe my mom and possibly my grandmother had went to this appointment, and it was pretty much reading over them retesting her. And another thing, every time we went in for chemo, you had to wait before you get a room because they have to run insurance every single time. So it took a while. It took a lot to get admitted in. It's just a lot that it entails when it comes to children being diagnosed with cancer than what comes with an adult. But I think it was my mom and my grandmother that went to this appointment. I don't believe I was able to make it because of work. And that's when they kind of got the answer. Doctors came in and they were just like, I don't know, but we don't see a trace of anything. I mean, I know what it was. I know who it was. But yeah, back after 2014, around 2016, 15, 16, it probably was 16, she had become cancer free. And ever since then, I hope you guys were able to follow me through this story time. But ever since then, she has been cancer free for she was 4 then and she's 15 now, so 11 years being cancer free. And it was some rocky roads, scary roads, lonely roads, but we're here to tell the story, and she's here to tell the story, and we're here to help any other child and any other mother that may possibly be going through this. And I hope this story reaches everybody on YouTube that are going through this. It was some rocky moments, but we held on to our faith. It probably is a lot more that I can tell within this story, but all I can say is the person I am today is because of the faith and the strength that I seen in her. She helped her mom to become patient. She helped me to become focused, and that's why I am who I am today, because I promised I would never fail her. I would never fail her. So that is the story time. I don't think I can think of anything else that would regard to that story. If you have any questions, comments, Leave them down in the comment section because we ain't about to make this sad story time. She's here. My son's here. We good. We good. I have two. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I went through that, I did tell myself, I said I would never have another child because I did not want to go through that again. I didn't want to go through that again, but eventually down the line, Dorian Mitchell ended up here. But yeah, I think that's about it. But that's how she ended up with scoliosis. And that's how we ended up having to have her surgery last year. Well, it's almost she surgery anniversary will be a year April coming up. She will be a year post-op. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section below. I hope this helps somebody. Press that thumbs up button, press that subscribe button, and we will talk to you in the meantime. And as we continue this journey, we will continue to come and give you guys updates. I promise you. I promise. Because she still have to go through things. Like right now, she does see an endocrinologist because when people have chemo treatment, radiation treatment, it does cause you not to be able to conceive. So we also got that down the line. And other things, but hey, I'm just happy that she's here is other thing. And she does have to check in ever so often with her hematologist, different specialists that we see, but she's here. That's the main thing. So press that like button, press that subscribe button, and I will talk to you, Rika Favs, on the next time.